Let me know what you need. Put some question marks in front of your questions. And if you are in any of the Mile Walk Academy programs, please let me know. I'd love to give you a shout out. Let me and Kara just get situated here. We're streaming at a few different places, so I just want to make sure that everything is going well. Kara, I see me on the stream. Looks like YouTube is good. Looks like they're all in order. Just give me 1 second. This takes a little longer when you're omnipresently streaming everywhere. And I'm just getting the checklist that we're good to go in all the different places. If you are on LinkedIn or if you're on Facebook, great to have you too. You're in the satellite offices right now. We welcome you. We can see your comments. I will answer your questions. But all the links and stuff that we're putting out are on YouTube. All right, Kara, let me know if we are good to go. I see. Oh my God, my wife is on LinkedIn. My wife is actually at work today. I love you, honey. I'm so sorry that you are not home today. The dogs and I are having a great time without you. But we miss you, and we'll see you for dinner. Okay. Looks like we're good. All right. You know the drill. Again, if you're jumping in just now, let me know who you are, where you're from, what you need, what you do, all that good stuff. And I got a nice little package. So it's Andy here, in spirit of helping you build a career you love. Today we're going to talk about how to remember your interview lines, your interview stories, all the things you want to say, right? That's the issue. And you don't want to memorize it because that's a lot of stuff going on. It's a big problem. You got lots of questions. You got lots of stories. You got lots of possible questions they can ask you. And most people get very, very overwhelmed because they're trying to remember everything. But you want to be fluid. You want to be fast. You want to be conversational. You also want to make sure that you have the details. So how do you do that? How does somebody make it sound natural? I promise you stick with me today for the little package at least, you are definitely going to know how to do that and how to make it a lot easier on yourself so that you know what you want to say, you know the details and all that good stuff, and you will sound fluent. So this is going to be great. I was thinking about, I could just tell you what I want to tell you and give you the tip and give you the examples, but I thought it might be a little bit more interesting. I was thinking, some thoughts were colliding. I was thinking, what I want to teach them is really kind of how I run live office hours. And maybe I could give them the technique that I use as an example or as a backbone. And what's really funny is you all are now becoming me in these interviews, right? You got some kind of audio, you got some kind of visual because we're doing a lot of stuff on camera. But this technique is going to apply whether you're in person, whether you're on the phone, whether you're on the video. It doesn't even need to be limited to interviewing. It could be about when you're talking to somebody at work. It could be about selling a product, a project, a service, or whatever. So let's talk about the situation here. When I'm at live office hours, here you are. I love this time of week, right? If you're here with me live, great. If you're watching this on the recording, hey to you. But you basically get that I have two formats of the show, right? And it doesn't matter if it's a big live event or if I'm teaching or whatever, but basically there's two formats. I teach like this, right? Where there's something of a script that I'm gonna teach you, a how-to or something of that nature. I literally control the microphone, and I'm gonna teach you the steps and the how-tos and all the good stuff that I want to teach you. Then there's the Q&A part, and so we either do one or both, or one or the other, or both. With the Q&A part, you ask me a question. It's your situation. Andy, what should I do? How would you do this? What advice do you have? Do you have any words on? Whatever it is. But basically, those are the two things and the two ways that I approach it. Now, a lot of you, my beloved community who come here every week, and welcome to the newcomers and welcome to the folks that come week in and week out. But basically, you get that you all ask me the same questions every week, right? And that's okay. And that's okay, right? There's a finite number of problems in job searching and interviewing and salary negotiation, resume writing, and those kinds of things. And each one of you encounters this issue at a different point in your life. So if somebody asked me last week, somebody's going to ask me a similar question, if not the same question this week, that's okay. It makes me feel good to help you. There is absolutely no patina on my enthusiasm or my answers or any of that stuff. So you're going to get the same level of energy. But what I know is you're going to ask me the same questions, or I'm going to teach you about similar topics, or maybe I'm going to teach you a fresh view of a similar topic, but it's basically the same. Now, same thing goes for you, right? In an interviewing scenario, when you go in for an interview, all these companies, they ask you the same questions, right? I've given you in the interview intervention book, which is free if you chip in for the envelope. I've given you the questions that you are likely to get asked, right? So regardless of what your function is, I've basically given you all the questions that an employer could potentially ask you about your behavior, about your history, about your upbringing, about your career, and all that good stuff. Sure, you're going to have some unique questions that are related to what it is you do specifically, if you're an accountant or a marketer or a salesperson or a mechanic or whatever. But basically, you're going to get the same questions. So how is it that you can be ready, even though there are so many of these questions? They basically all ask the same ones. So here, let's talk about how we do that. Now, first thing I want to do, though, is I want to tell you what I don't want you to do. Now, normally I like to save my mistakes and the things I don't want you to do to the end. But for this talk, I moved them up. I got a note card, too. And there's two things I don't want you to do because this makes it really, really hard on you. The first thing is, I kind of alluded to this one, is I don't want you to memorize anything. What happens when you memorize it? You sound robotic. It's much, much more difficult to remember everything because you're thinking about words, right? You're thinking about, I need to say this first, I need to say this next, and so on. And that's a lot of stuff to remember. What also makes it very difficult for some of you, this second piece, is people are trying to tell you to put it in interview speak, right? Use the STAR technique. This, say this, right? Like all this stuff that you got going through your head. But just imagine for a second if at any moment in time, even no matter how much duress you're under, that your body just did what it was trained to do, right? As you're telling a story, you're telling the story about what you were trained to do. Imagine that. The protocols and the procedures and the methodologies and the things like that you have been living day in and day out, project in and project out. It makes no difference how many widgets you created. There's a formula to what you do. You've been trained. But instead, you're trying to convert what is very fluid and story-like into something that is mechanical and makes you tongue-tied. Right? You ever see a trainer on a video do a video, whether it's recorded before the studio audience like we're doing right now, or whether they're trying to talk to the camera because you're not sitting there and they're very stiff or they got a lot of jump cuts or whatever, right? They're having dialogue with themselves, right? They're not speaking with you. They're not having a conversation with you. They're not getting connected with you. They're all in their own head. And this is what happens to a lot of you in an interview. So here's what I do each week. So let's talk about me, and we're going to talk about you. All right, so first thing is, I mentioned that I have a session today where I'm teaching, and sometimes I teach, right? We do workshops and things like that. Well, I want you to know that my tip for you and what I use is I just know my outline, okay? So if I'm teaching, I just go off my outline, right? So you might hear me say, hey, today, here's what we're going to talk about. This is a problem. This is the problem you have, or here's the aspiration you have. Here's the promise I'm going to give you. Here's how I want you to do it. Here's all the mistakes you're going to make. Here's a bonus tip, and let's recap. Okay, something like that. There you go. There's your formula for anything I teach you. Basically, although I got really crazy today and I moved the mistakes up top. Basically, you have an outline. And I want you to think about anytime you answer something, you have an outline. So when I give you something, when it's scripted like it is today and I have the microphone in total control, I go through the points I want to tell you. I don't memorize each stage of it. I'm just talking with you about the things I know you need to know about how to do this. Okay, so there's an outline to it. Makes things very easy. But what about when I get a question, right? It comes at me and it's theoretically a unique question, maybe one I've heard before, maybe one I've I've anticipated, maybe one I've seen, variations of. Now, immediately, I'm asked a question about something, it's a situation, and I have to process it. I have to look at the data you're giving me. I have to make sure that, because you only have so many characters, and like when a person asks you an interview question, they're only asking you a question. They're not providing you tons and tons of information unless they're asking you to do a case study and they're providing all of that. But basically, I then have to fill in the assumptions. And then I have to think about answering your particular question, but I also have to think about, well, hang on, what if my assumptions were wrong? And maybe they asked me something, but there's a different variation of what they need. So I try to give you multiple variations, and what that also does, not only does it cover the basis for you, but it also, because this is a teaching show, it helps all the other people that will encounter that scenario, whether they've encountered it or not. At some point, they're going to encounter it or a variation thereof. So then I expand it, and I go through the different scenarios. And then what do I normally say to you when we do a Q&A? Hey, there's 3 things we have to be aware of. There's three different scenarios. There's 3 things I'm going to tell you. And as I'm saying this out loud, what is it doing for you? Okay, Andy's going to go through 3 steps. Andy's going to go through 3 scenes. He's going to do something. What's it doing for me? It's telling me, okay, 1, 2, and 3. It's giving me out loud my outline, or something that is going to be easier for me to remember. So that positive reinforcement, because it came out of my mouth, you now know it's been framed for you. You know where we are in the story at any moment in time, and so do I. Okay, so that's really kind of how I do live office hours. Now, I'm processing very quickly. I'm very experienced, but I have been trained. I do this every day. It's what I'm fashioned to do. So I can on command run through that very quickly. But aren't you all a master of your trade? Right? You project managers, haven't you done umpteen projects? And even if you've done one project, you've probably lived it for a long time. You know what you're doing, right? So rely on your areas of expertise. So the tip that I want you to know is make sure that you run through your outline in your head. Now, I talked about my situation, which is I'm either going to give you a scripted story like this one, and this story, while scripted, is not scripted. It's outlined, right? Or you're going to ask me for a situation like a Q&A, and I'm going to give you that. But what about you? What kind of questions do you get asked? Now, I've told you in the past that there are only 2 types of interview questions. There's ones about your past, and there's ones about your future. But there's 3 formats that an employer or an interviewer can use to ask you about your past or to ask you about your future. So while I want you to have outlines, I want to show you exactly what I mean in each of the different scenarios that you will face. So what are the types of questions that you're going to get? All right, you're going to get behavioral. These are questions about your past. Right? You're going to get a question about a specific project. These are questions about your past. And then there's situational questions. These are questions about what-if scenarios or the future or how would you handle or whatever. Now, the behavioral interview questions, for example, those are, right, tell me about a time when. Now, they're about your past, but they're vague, and they give you control of the microphone because you get to pick the story that you want to tell them about something that was disorganized, the disagreement you had with the customer or your teammates, right? Or something that you did, a challenge you overcame, a failure you had, and so on. However, you know that you're going to likely be asked those kinds of questions. So all you need to do in advance is, which story do I think best suits me to tell this interviewer because of the company they work for, or the role I'm interviewing for, or the best story I have if I don't have something that aligns to one of those 2. Now, you get to choose that. Now, on the behavioral stuff, what's the outline? Well, let me tell you what isn't the outline. Now, I put a video out that maybe Kara can share here. If you're watching this on the recording, I'm sure we're going to put it up in the card or something like that, right over there, about how to answer any behavioral interview question. I have this video. It is well worth watching. I don't want to go into the whole outline and all the details and all the examples and all the stuff that I gave you in that video. I'd like you to watch it, but I do, for completeness sake, want to talk about something very, very specific here. Lots of times people ask me about the STAR technique. They say, well, that's an outline, right? STAR, situation, task, action, result. It's the worst way to answer a behavioral interview question. I don't care what anybody tells you. I don't care if a recruiter says, we like the STAR technique. Let me tell you why it's really bad. So if you use that outline, it starts with your situation, which means it starts with your example. And what happens if you pick a bad example to tell the interviewer? If I don't like your example, you don't have a job. Okay? So I don't like that scenario. Now, you picked one example. Some of you are my age. Got a birthday coming up soon, but been working for 30 some years. Do you have any idea how many examples I can choose from when somebody asks me about a disagreement that I've had, or how I motivated somebody, or what I think leadership is, or whatever? Right? I have many. I have more stories than there are people on this session. Right? And so do you. So if you pick the wrong one and you go into, well, here's the situation, here's what I was doing, here's the action and the steps that I took, and here was the result, and it's not a good story, then they're not going to like it. So I would rather you have a different kind of outline, one that is much, much more simple for you to remember, similar in style. But I'd rather you share with me what you think, right? Can you just talk like a human being for a second and just tell me what your philosophy is on disagreeing? So if somebody asks me a behavioral question, I know I'm going to use the example where Susie and I, on this project, we encountered this issue and we had a disagreement. I already know what the example is. I already know what it is because I lived it. I just want to tell the employer or the interviewer, well, here's my philosophy on disagreement in general, because you want to share that up front. You don't have to run on for 8 minutes about your philosophy, but you need to share it, because what the sharing of your philosophy or your thoughts does is it tells me this is how Andy is going to behave all the time, irrespective of the scenario he is now about to give me. Okay? So you're neutralizing, right? It's kind of like all you finance geeks. It's like a stop loss order, right? You like the lowest, baddest thing that can happen to you is they don't like your scenario. Right? Well, now you're saying it doesn't matter if you like my scenario. If you like the way I think, because the first thing they hear and the last thing they hear, that's what they remember. The stuff in the middle is harder to retain. So then you take them through, and here's what happened with me and Susie, and here was the outcome. Now, outcome could be a result. It could be a result in what you learned, right? So here's what I think. Here's what I did. Here's what happened. Here's what I think. Here's what I did. Here's what happened. Okay? That sounds like human speak, not interview speak. There's your outline. Whatever your story is, you go pick it. But you don't have to remember all the details. All right, wait, let's transition to this one. How about this one? Let's say I got a specific project, okay? I got a specific project, and no one cares about my project. They just want me to work harder. Somebody says, hey, Andy, I love that project that I see on your resume. Can you tell me how you did that? What if you did what you were trained to do? What you were fashioned to do, what you've been doing your entire life as a project manager? You say, oh, man. So now, what? You got the microphone again, scripted. What do you need? Here's an outline. What's the outline related to? A sales process, cooking the accounting books, right? Marketing something, selling something, running project, whatever, right? Well, project manager. Hey, you know what? I'm glad you picked that. That was a classic software development lifecycle implementation, where we went through, the 7 stages. We gathered we assembled a team. We gathered the requirements, right? We architected it, designed it, coded it, quality assurance, tested it, converted it, maintained it, so on and so forth. And so I'm going to tell you that you're going to get those 6 or 7 pieces. And actually, the business issue was, and we were having some issues with customer service. We were going to put in a customer relationship management system. It was a $1 million project. There was ultimately 50 people on the project. Took us 10 months. And here's what I did. And I'm going to take you through, boom, boom, boom. You gave them the outline. You have the outline, you told them what you're going to tell them, and now you fill in the details in an organized fashion, and you will never lose yourself. And now all you need to do is tell them. Now, some of you might say, well, Andy, that was 10 years ago. Okay, first thing is, if it's on your resume, I want you to remember the details, okay? Now, here's what I do when I have to tell a story about something. I would go get my resume. I would look at everything on my resume, and I would think about when I did that highlight, when I did that project, when I was at that company, when I was working with those people. What was it like? What season was it? What was the weather like? What was the color of the furniture? What was the business problem? Who was involved? What vendors were we using? All go back. Go back. Reflecting is nice, right? Just think about, here's your little tip. Go back when you've got a behavioral interview question where you get to choose the story, or you've got the specific scenario that they've asked you about, and you get, right? They've chosen the story for you, but it doesn't matter. It should be one of your favorites. Because if the dang thing is on your resume, it should be something that markets you, and it should be something you should be falling all over yourself to talk about, right? Okay, so now if you think about it in advance and you're reflecting, because this is good, just good interview prep, I got a little tool for you. Maybe, up in the card over there on the recording, and Kara can drop it in the little chat, called my Career Achievements Journal. My Career Achievements Journal is going to help you understand the specifics that employers will enjoy hearing about, that will bring details, color, and bring your stories to life with the right information that is most germane for them to know and understand, so that they can visualize and paint a picture for themselves. And the other little thing that you can do is you grab your resume and say, well, this one right here, you can see it was a $5.3 million project. And it lasted 10 months, 10 years, whatever it was. Right? So you've got the little crutch that you can grab. So for behavioral interview questions, you use the little 3-prong outline in the video. Hopefully you'll go watch that. And if you're telling about a specific story or a specific project, talk about what you are fashioned to do. If you're marketing something, what are the marketing tactics? Just walk them through it. 6 marketing things that we did. Boom, boom, boom. Right? Here's what I did. 1, 2, 3. Here's what we learned. Here's what happened. All that good stuff. Right? Focus on the outline. Focus on the methodology. Focus on your protocols. And it is so much easier for you to be able to send that out. And it will sound like a conversation. It'll be fluid and fast. Okay, now we still got one left. This one here is the situation. And you're gonna say, well, Andy, I don't know what this is yet. They're gonna give me a scenario. I'm telling you already know what it is. Why? Because if you're a project manager, they're gonna say, hey, Andy, how did you, we've got this project we'd like you to implement. How would you go about this? Or you're a salesperson. How would you go about researching and targeting new prospects to sell them this widget? Right? You're going to get something that is in your lane. And you've been doing this your whole life. So what do? You immediately, in your brain, first thing that happens is you insert your methodology, your protocols, your outline, your whatever. So, well, the first thing that I need to do is what's the issue? So maybe we'll need to go and segment the customers. And then once we do that and we evaluate where 80% of our dollars are coming from 20% of the customers, then we're going to implement, we're going to design, architect, we're going to develop it, we're going to test it, we're going to whatever, blah, blah, blah. Right? You insert your methodology or your protocols. It could be 1 step, it could be 5 steps, it could be whatever it is that they asked you about. Whatever this scenario is. But these are the questions that ask you to ask you to lay it out or troubleshoot it on the fly. So it's the same kind of thing I do when you ask me a question. I insert all the tactics. Basically, I go into this little skull-shaped kingdom up here, and I think about all the things that I know to be true about whatever it is you asked me. But I have to assemble it in an orderly fashion so that you can understand what I need you to do, and you are trying to relay what it is that you would do to the people who asked you. Okay? So everything goes back to, where'd my card go? Right here. It goes back to your outline. Everything that you do. Now, I want to give you a little bonus tip here. This is beautiful. This is beautiful. On the situationals, okay? So when you have these right here, and you could even do it for these specific projects, but when you are asked to give them a technique, how would you go about this? Here's your scenario. What would you do? The what would you do questions. Okay, now you got your outline, right? I've got this woman who I work with who is a client of mine, a one-on-one client, and she's pretty awesome. She's interviewing for Chief Revenue Officer positions. And she was interviewing with this technology company for a CRO position. And this particular technology company was an AI based organization that had an open source software that was used by a lot of people. Now, the open source is free. So you got people that are using this stuff for free, except they're now going to be building on top of this with enterprise solutions, and they want to sell it. So unlike somebody just going to market and selling a product, there's some different challenges. When they ask her, hey, how would you go about selling this? What would you do? That's a situation, right? This is just an example. But the tip is, I want you to tell them what you would do using your outline. The bonus tip, the advanced tactic, is to insert the problems that they are going to encounter along the way. So here's what I want you to do. If you do this, I guarantee that you will floor your interviewers. And you're going to get credit whether they knew about the problems or not. And here's what I mean. Okay, so instead of her saying, well, first thing that we need to do is we need to figure out our customers, who's using what. That's right. And then we also need to go to the market and see what types of organizations we're going to target, whether we're going to go by industry, solution line, or whatever. Okay, you do all that stuff up front. Then, before we can actually start marketing the product, well, we're going to have an education problem, right? So, because we're going to have to educate people who already use this for free on why they need to actually buy something, so we're actually going to have to show them. So, we wouldn't normally need to do this. We now are going to have some webinars and webcasts for our existing user base, because they're not even our customer base. They're simply users of our free software. So we have an extra problem. Then once we do that, we're going to encounter this other issue here. And here's how I would solve that, or here's how I would address that. Now, you could do one of two things with this bonus tip. She, in her scenario, had never encountered this before. She's never had to do this. So as you're telling your story, you just say it matter-of-factly. Well, of course we're going to encounter that, right? People who are using this stuff for free aren't going to want to start paying for it, right? So we're going to have to do this. Or if she has done this in the past, say, well, I know we're going to encounter that problem because when I did that over at company XYZ, we tried to do this and we encountered this issue, and here's how we addressed it and fixed it. Okay, so if you've got it in your experience and at your disposal, then you explain that. If you don't, you just say it matter-of-factly. And what did I just say about it doesn't matter if they know the problem exists or not? If you proactively called out the issues, they're gonna think you're a genius whether they knew it or not. If they knew it, they'll be like, that's good catch. If they didn't know it, they'll be like, oh my goodness, yeah, we didn't even think about that. Now imagine how much of a genius you'll be if they didn't think about it. So it doesn't matter. What you don't want is you don't want them giving you the problems along the way. You want to call them out as you walk through your outline. Okay, so how do I retain all that stuff? The only thing that I want you to retain is your outline. Sure, when they ask you, tell me about a time when you organized something. Yeah, I want you to know the project. When they point to your resume and they say, hey, Andy, tell me about that implementation right there. Yeah, I want you to have reflected, but I don't want you obsessing. I don't want you writing this all out. It's okay to talk it out and listen to yourself. And how does that sound? You will be far better off if you do that. And then the situationals, well, you don't know what they're going to ask you, but all you need to do is fall back on your outline, your protocols, your methodologies, and everything that you have been doing since the beginning of your work history, or for however long you've been doing it. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that. We will have some links. I hope that serves you. It makes it a lot easier. I ran through this talk. It took me about 3 or 4 minutes to draft the whole thing, and then it took me about 5 minutes to just kind of talk it through to make sure everything made sense. And then I went through it one more time, just talked it out loud to notate some of the things I wanted to point you to. That's it. That's the exact amount of time I put into that. So imagine you do this every day of your life. You're in an interview. They're asking you about stuff you did. You should be able to pull it together pretty quickly. All right. Hope that helps you. If you are here with me live, let's go to the questions. If you're not, so long, and I'll see you next week on the recording. Let's get to it. How long was that? I knew I could get that done by 11:30. All right. How we doing? 357. Isn't that a magnum? All right. Kara, how everything going fine on your end? Everything looks okay. I see myself in like 8 different screens here. All right, let me see. This week, okay, so I know a lot of you were with me in the resume workshop, which was awesome fun. I love that. If you were fortunate enough to get in there with me and get it for free, God bless you. And if you did get in the resume workshop, by the way, that career achievements journal that I was mentioning to you is in the back of the resume content builder that you got as your gift for the resume writing workshop. But if you did not get that, then just download the career achievements journal. It's a two-page checklist with all the goodies in it. Let me see. I got a few announcements. If you are, by the way, I'm gonna leave this up, so this is gonna stay just regular. You find it wherever. And if you're loving it, click the thumbs up button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. One thing I don't want to forget is next Thursday, I moved the time on you because it's my birthday. And there was no way I wasn't spending some of my birthday with you. So we're going to do it early in the morning and at 8 o'clock Central Time so that I can go and get my 20-miler in and I could go horseback riding with my wife. I don't know if it's because we've been watching a lot of Yellowstone or Game of Thrones or whatever, but we're going horseback riding. And then I'm sure I'll do some other fun stuff. But I'm spending the morning with you, or at least portion of it. So let me see. What do we got here? I got Kara in my eCam. I've got Andy White as the first one, but in YouTube I do see there are a few others as well. Let me see if I could get these. Pop the chat out, and let me see. We've got a few others here. Okay. I hope you guys are enjoying everything, man. That was loads of fun. I lost. Shoot. All right, when I pop the chat out, let me see if I can restore the chat. Hold on. Sorry, guys. I know some of you showed up early. You had there I go. Laura Cobb. How do I approach a long, detailed federal app and academic CV? Okay, so that's the first question. For all of you that are interviewing or applying, I should say, to the government of any kind, municipalities, park districts, state, local, federal, makes no diff, okay? You can use my resume. We have a lot of people that get in with that. You can use a CV if you'd like. I don't offer a CV. Basically is used predominantly in academic settings, research settings, medical field, those kinds of things where you have an excessive amount of research, publications, maybe speaking engagements, those kinds of things. So they tend to be long and list-like. So you can use that. I don't care what resume you use. And then how do you approach it? You approach it like any other. Now, personally, we still counsel in my programs, we still counsel people who are applying to the federal government and state governments to network and do all that other stuff. And it works because they're getting their jobs that way. Yes, they do have to go through the application process, everything. You have to go to the application process with any company. But I would still go about it that way if you want to go and apply and all that good stuff. I wouldn't approach it any differently. Your question on does the bootcamp resume review include both or either, I'll review any resume that you want me to. One resume, one enrollment. You want 2 resumes to be reviewed? 2 enrollments, that kind of thing. But most of the people in my job search bootcamp that elect to get their resume reviewed, a big part of making a great resume to get them great results is most of the boot campers are applying using the style of resume that I give them, the layout, the template, the structure, the sentences, the insert your thing here kind of thing, that they're doing that on their own. So when I'm reviewing that, I can polish up the raw data, I can correct anything and any of those good things. If somebody's format is wildly different than that, then I'm spending a lot of time saying, go back, rewatch the thing, and resend it to me after you've restructured it effectively, because I want you to have the best results. I have done resume reviews for people who've given me CVs and other things, and I just go with the format that they want because that's the style they want to use. That's okay with me. We have people in Europe. We have over 100 countries represented in boot campers. So people that are in my job search boot camp, there's more than 100 countries. Actually, I think that was what we had last time, a year and a half ago. We got to retally this, but I'm sure it's well over that number. But people in Central Europe and some of the places like Switzerland or Germany or France or whatever, they have one-page resumes. We have companies that are commercial that ask people to submit one-page resumes. So we just reduce the amount. Any of you, okay, I tell you your resume can be 2 pages, but you can make it 1. There's not one person out there of the however many that there are, 345 that are still here, that I couldn't get your resume down to a page. There isn't not one person. Because if you don't think you can, I'm going to tell you, you're talking about stuff you don't need to be talking about, and you're talking about stuff that doesn't really sell you. What's the value in having that on your resume? If you need more than a page to do that, I find that hard to believe. But take 2, right? So that's the way I look at that. I wouldn't treat it any differently. And my training is, so my Ironman got canceled, which you probably imagined, but I'm still on schedule. I still am training like crazy. Last week, though, however, I got 1 extra weekend day of reprieve. My coach allowed me to take my 3.5-hour bike and 1-hour run, done consecutively, and she allowed me to cut everything in half. So I only had to do 1 hour 45 and 30 minutes, and then I strength trained and then stretched. And but that was it. That's all. We've dialed back 1 day. But everything else is going well. Still swimming miles and miles and riding hours and hours and running for days. All right, Adam Stark, everything's going great. I know most companies love a problem solver. What are some best problem solving examples they love? Still figuring out career. Okay, here. Adam, real quick, and anybody, when you are in a job interview, the first thing that you need to do when you inventory the stories you're going to tell is you need to figure out the stories that most closely align to what it is they do. Okay? So Adam, the quick answer to what's the best problem-solving story is some problem that you solved that does one of 2 things. It's either exactly what they do or it's completely analogous to what they do. And you need to draw the comparison for them. Don't assume they'll make the comparison. So if they say, hey, you're interviewing for a sales position, we sell software, and they say, what's the biggest problem you solved? You say, well, we were having difficulty selling the software. Here's how we overcame it. Okay? If you can't come up with one of those, then you got to come up with something that is analogous to what they do or are asking your job, your role to do, and then say, well, I did this, and it would be just like me solving that problem of selling that problem, and here's how it relates. You literally need to go to that level of explanation. So I can't tell you what the best examples are, but the one thing that I can tell you is it's one of the 5 stories you absolutely need to be able to tell. Okay? There are 5 stories. I'm not going to go into them right now. Actually, it's inside the boot camp. There are 5 magical stories that you need to tell that from the 5 stories, you can answer any job interview question. So anyway, but that I will tell you that is one of them. All right. Eduardo, how you doing? Tony P, my buddy, my boot camper and my leader from Dunedin. Sal, my boot camper, hey to you. Ready for some of that memory knowledge dropping our way. It is Opium Project. Great. Nikki Rose, how you doing? Let me see if I'm trying to line up and get to Andy White here. Dan McGuire. First office hours, can we give Dan McGuire a shout out? Should I be addressing follow-up emails to John or Mr. Doe? Does using the title, mark me as part of an older generation? Well, I am a casual guy, even though I wore suits most of my life. I believe that we now live in a society where, hey, Andy is cool. Dear Andy is fine. Dear Andrew, it works. You don't need to say, Mr. LaCivita. That's my dad. Actually, that's my grandfather. Actually, that's his dad. So that's me. I will say that the one thing I would add to that is if you cannot find Dear Andy, and I wouldn't use Dear Mr. LaCivita, if you are addressing someone in an organization but you don't know who's going to read it, I will say to whom it may concern will date you. Dear hiring team, dear recruitment team, dear human resources team, something of that nature is a little more current. Everybody gets it. You didn't know who you were addressing it to? It's okay. They don't care. So hope that helps. John Bailey, how you doing? Karen Lose. Karen got a temp job, my boot camper. Wonderful to hear. I saw that in the Facebook group. I love that. Got a temp job that pays poorly, but will pay the bills. That's better than not, I suppose. Right? In the meantime, I want to break into business analysis. Will getting PMI, PBA certification help? I have one BA role on the resume 5 years back. So, okay, two schools of thought here. There you go. There's your outline. Two schools. One is I want to give you guys a tip. Now, I know Karen. She's in the boot camp, and I know her. So it's going to be really easy for me to answer this one. But for all of you that I don't know, or I don't know you personally, I want to say a couple things. First thing I want to tell you is you're all whole just the way you are. The biggest job search tip I can give you that will change your results is change your marketing and your efforts. Do not change yourself. Now, don't get me wrong. If you want to go into a whole new career, there's 12 steps you got to go through, 4 different stages, okay? I want you to do that. However, most job seekers, 95% of you that are just trying to switch companies, right? I'm a salesperson, want to be a salesperson over here, or I'm in Karen's case, BA, PM, project coordinator, PM, and so on. You should focus more on your front-end tactics and generating more opportunities instead of spending a lot of time trying to fix this internally. Let me give you an example from my life. When I first created my job search bootcamp, we went to sell it. Now, as you can imagine, no matter how many sales we made or how many enrollments we enlisted, it was never going to be what I'd hoped for. Right? I mean, I didn't really have hope, but no matter what it was, it's going to be a lower number than you want, usually. And the first reaction to most people who sell something is, oh my goodness, nobody bought the product. There must be something wrong with the product. I better go in and start adding stuff into the program. No, I didn't need to change a thing. I needed to figure out how to find the people that would come and watch me on Thursday, get to know me, trust me, like me, and then say, Andy's got something good here. I want to get in, right? I spent all my time, right, on the front end trying to find the people. That's where you need to be spending your time. Looking for people. This goes for Karen. It goes for everybody. If you're a salesperson and you got a certain kind of background and you are trying to break in and do more of it or do a little something different or whatever, if you want to go spend a year and try to educate yourself or whatever, that's fine. But I guarantee you, if you spent a month really marketing yourself the right way, you'd already have a job. And then you'd be getting on the job training instead of school training or certification training. All right, now don't get me wrong. There are some certifications that are very, very good. I tend to favor ones that are very high-level technological ones. Okay, so I don't favor ones that are more administrative in nature, and I consider project management administrative in nature, meaning I would prefer, I'm not poo-pooing, I'm preferring a seasoned project manager versus an inexperienced project manager with a PMP certification. Okay, I want the person who's got the goods, the experience. Okay. Now, Karen, in your case, I think you have enough in your background where you could do business analysis. And if you do project management, you're doing business analysis as well as part of that. So the big message here, so to Karen, to answer your question, it's okay if you want to go get the credential. I think your time would be better spent channeling all those hours that you were going to go and spend on getting that certification and actually putting it into marketing yourself to other companies to try to find people that are receptive to giving somebody like you an opportunity in their business analyst group. That's what I would do. For everybody else, if you're a new college graduate, you are not competing with experienced people. You should be looking for opportunities where they say no experience required, or I'm just looking for somebody young, smart, and hungry. Okay, if you're a career changer, do not try to compete with me for a recruitment job. Okay, so that just isn't going to happen. No, you need to go with an organization or somebody that's going to value some of the other skills that you have, right? Or the foundational traits, or the fact that you know a particular industry and they're in that particular industry. Right? So they want you as a practitioner moving over to the recruitment department so you can recruit for people and because you already know the job or whatever. Like you need to be working on the front end, not the internal stuff. Don't get me wrong. Self-help is great. More certs are great in certain areas and you need them in certain cases. But most of you do not. Most of you do not need them. So that's my feedback on that. Kara, do me a favor. How much of the chat am I missing? Andy White is my first one on eCam. And let me toggle these timestamps. Nikki Rose. Andy, is it bad form to ask for an indication of salary before you apply? I would never ask. If no salary is stated, I would never ask. I would never ask. It is bad form, and I would never ask, and I've given you tons of data in my salary negotiation videos. By the way, I do want to say this. I'll say this to my boot campers. I'll say it to anybody who's considering my job search boot camp. I'll say it to anybody who's watching any of my salary negotiation videos. When I say salary negotiation, I do not actually mean salary negotiation. When I say salary negotiation, I mean you are about to apply for a job. You are about to send a letter to the recruiter. You are about to send a boss hunting letter, email, LinkedIn, InMail, or whatever. From that moment till the moment you counter offer, that's all salary negotiation. Everything you say, everything you do, everything you don't say, everything you don't do, all contributes to your ability to negotiate effectively. That war, this is chess. It happens long before the offer's ever put in front of you. So asking up front is the first worst step. The other first worst step, like 1A and 1A/B, is, here's my expectation, right? Here's my salary expectation. So I would not. So that's what I mean. So when I say go watch salary negotiation, most of those videos are going to talk about the whole process. Kara, do me a favor. Tell me I have no idea how much of this chat I'm missing. Can you tell me what time Andy White, the boot camper from Geneva, my neighbor, is? Anthony Anabali, how you doing, buddy? All right, I'm buzzing down, folks, trying to get some questions. Anthony Anabali. Hey, Andy, I have a simple question. I haven't yet found an answer in your videos. I'm guessing it's somewhere, but I can't wait to read the rest of this. Should I have a background photo on LinkedIn? I love that. You know what? Can we, wait, I can't remember oh man, I know you're in something. Okay, this is a great question. I favor background photos on LinkedIn. What you put there should be clean, simple, and representative of you. Okay? If you're in the fashion industry, put somebody with good-looking clothes on. Preferably, it's you. If you are in technology, have something related. But it is not, in my opinion, the photo, your photo matters. The background doesn't matter as much. And that's not where I'd be spending a ton of time. I mean, I'd slap something up there if you want. That's it. That's a great question, and you're right. I never talked about it, but it's mostly probably because it's a relatively inconsequential thing. I would say, and those of you that know me know that I can't stand that open to work thing. Like, I would get that off my picture. It does not do you any good to have that open to work around your face. It's just calling attention to something you don't want to be called attention to. There are other mechanisms inside LinkedIn that I would use. Anyway, it's way down. Huh. Goodness. All right. Well, I'm at Heidi. Hey Heidi, how are you? Hope you're enjoying the boot camp. So I'm there. Let me see if I can. Dang. Hang on. Let me see if I can move this up. Dean, how you doing? My boot camper. And Bob Ashman, how you doing? Medina, Andy, is it better to target bigger and well-known companies rather than smaller ones for those who are changing careers and countries? The exact opposite. So first off, in the order in which it is best to target companies, all of you, remember this. Smaller to medium-sized companies have more opportunity, more flexibility, and promote more jobs than the big companies. Like, if you don't understand these concepts, let me give you some stat. In the most prosperous hiring year of all time, okay, back in the mid to late 2000s before the market crashed, where millions of jobs were created, like 12 million jobs in 1 year, 11 million of them were created by small companies. Okay, the IBMs of the world, while large, Pepsis and Cokes and those kind of companies, household names, they do not create massive jobs in terms of growth or an ability to recruit. As a job seeker looking, has a much better chance of getting into a smaller organization because accommodations can be made. If you are, this is in general, I haven't even gotten to your question yet. If you are changing jobs, the best place to look is small to medium-sized companies. That's probability and odds speaking, okay? Now, some of you will say, well, I don't want to work for a small company. That's okay. You target big companies. You're a business analyst. You go target BA positions in big companies. That's cool. I'm fine with that. I'm just saying, you're looking for stats and you're looking for odds. I would be combing the Inc. 5000, the Inc. 500. I would be combing all the small and medium-sized jewels. I would be combing the industry lists and all that good stuff. Okay, and I would be targeting them that way. If I was a career changer, I would definitely be targeting small companies, not large ones. Why? Large companies generally are lazy in the way in which they recruit, and they're generally lazy in the way in which they think about the application of talent. So if I could do 18 different things, they don't want to look at me and say, how could I take advantage of Andy's skills and expertise, bring him into my company so he can rainmake? No, they say, well, I need a business analyst and you don't have any experience. It's like, well, yeah, but how hard is business analysis, right? It's not that hard, right? Kind of thing, right? I know logic, I know organization, I know processes, I know this, I know that, I'm great with customers and so on kind of thing, and I want to move over. That's what I'm talking about. They won't look at it that way. That will make it harder for you. So your best route is either one of two things. You're networking into small to medium-sized companies. If you're not networking into small to medium-sized companies, that'd be my first route. Second route would be go to smaller, medium-sized companies and try to shoot for positions where your capabilities match what it is that they need. The foundational traits match what they need. Then try that. The probability is still low, but that's better than you trying to go to big companies and going in the applicant tracking system. Don't even bother. I mean, I don't even want you to bother anyway, but really don't bother if that's you and you're trying to change careers going into an applicant tracking system into a large company. It ain't happening. Okay? You're going to be wildly frustrated. The alternate, before you ever get down to that last resort or wasting your time, is trying to find somebody that you know at a large company that can talk to somebody that convince them that Medina is worth hiring, right? That's the third option. And your absolute last resort is, I mean, I would spend all my time looking for companies that were open to it. But here again, the front end of your funnel, the top part of your funnel can be really, really wide, right? What are the possibilities? Keep sending out your resume, and then it narrows, and then you get some interviews, then that narrows, then you get a job, kind of thing. That's the way I see that. You said he said 11:59. Damn. Let me see if I can shake this. Shoot. Jeff, if no reply to either Boss Hunt email, is it best to try the boss again a week later or try HR? Or other connection in company and move on? I would go after everybody in the company before I'd ever hit HR. Here's the sequence I would go. Boss Hunt first, give them a week, Boss Hunt again. If it's me, this is me. I'm sending out my resume every day. If I send somebody a message on Tuesday, next Tuesday, I've already sent 20 messages out to other people. I don't really care if this person gets back to me. I don't. I do not care. I do not care. I don't want you to care. I want you to put thought into your cover, your email, your message, your resume, and I want you to send it out. And that's it. That's all you should care about. I sent it out. Don't worry about who's looking at your LinkedIn profile. Don't worry about it. Send it. Send it. A week later, if, and I'm talking about if now, during times of COVID, lots of people out of work, lots of people applying, lots of people, all that good stuff. Busy, confused. I give them a week. Maybe if I'm absolutely like dying to get into that company, I send them another message, the boss. Because everybody could be busy, could be out on vacation, mom could be sick, kid could be sick, wife could be sick, whatever. Send them another one. Now, if I'm like really dying, like I just have to do this, or I'm going to think I'm not a whole person anymore, I'd wait 2 weeks and try that person again. If that doesn't fly, I'd look for somebody else. Now, when I say boss hunt, and some of you say, well, I can't find the boss. Okay, you're not looking at this thing holistically. If you can't find the boss, can you find a boss? Like, if I'm in sales and I can't find the VP of sales, I'm going to go with the chief operating officer or somebody like that. Okay, so anybody who gets you within shouting distance. Because most people, if they're receptive, are going to say, hey, I'm not the gal or guy or whatever, go to him or her. Or let me send you over to HR. They'll sort that out or whatever. So that's a sequence. Now, if it's me, I send it to the boss. If the boss doesn't get back to me, if I really want to go to that company, 7 days later, I send that boss another one. If I don't really care, then I might go to somebody else within the organization, go higher up the chain, not lower down the chain. If that person doesn't get back to me, I might recruiter hunt or HR hunt. So go after the recruiter or go after the HR team. I would not be applying through the applicant tracking system. That's not job searching. That's applying for jobs. There's a difference. So that's the route I would go. Now, in the time we're in right now, and so I'm sure this video will live on forever and ever and ever after I'm dead, but for those of you that are operating inside the pandemic, hopefully there's not another pandemic, you should be sending out a lot of first intros. I would not be wasting a lot of time trying to follow up and chase people. Send it out, move on. Send it out, move on. Okay, it's tactically the right adjustment to make now. Again, what does that do? Top end of the funnel, more opportunities are coming in up top. This challenges you to within a month, if you took my job search challenge, which by the way is only free for a limited time now, it's going to be pulling off the shelf. If you do that, three send outs of your networking messages, resume, or whatever a day, that's almost 100 in a month. I guarantee you're going to get interviews if you do that. You will. You will. So that's how I would do it. Karen, how do you introduce someone on LinkedIn? Do I just send your first connection an email and give them the name of the other person? So here's what I tend to do. If I'm going to make an introduction, number one, I do it through email. Okay? LinkedIn is not a great spot to do it, but people do this. If you want to do it on LinkedIn, then I would just send it to both of them and say, hey, I'd like to introduce so-and-so. Here you go. Take it from here. Here's your email, and that's it. That's all I would say. And then the context of how you introduce them has to do with the strength of your relationship of both sides. So, for example, multiple scenarios, right? I might be talking to you. I know you pretty well. I want to go refer you to somebody who's like my best friend. Hey, Joey, you're going to love Karen. She's awesome. She's a PM. She does business analysis. She's in Texas, this and that, right? You're going to love her. Have fun. Okay? Then he calls you because that's the strength of my relationship with him. If it's somebody that I haven't seen in a long time, okay, then it's, hey, Jan, I know it's been a while. Hope you're well. I mean, just be human, right? Hope you're well. I wanted to introduce you to Karen. She'd reached out to me. She was interested in connecting with you on whatever. Give her a contact. Give her some context. Here you go. Okay? If it's a first connection that I do not know, I'm sending you over to this person saying, hey, so-and-so, I just wanted to reach out. One of my connections was interested in getting connected with you. I thought you might be able to help each other. Something very neutral or innocuous, go. That's it. Something like that. That's how I would do it. Now, let me caveat here. If it's somebody who I'm connected to on LinkedIn, but I've never met the person, then I'm probably not going to send an email, right? Because then I'd be like, well, who the hell is this guy? But if they see we're first connections on LinkedIn, so I would do that if and only if it was not one of the first two scenarios. 3 scenarios, you know them well, you know them lukewarmly, or it's been a while, or you don't know them at all. That's how I would do that. There you go. There's my outline. So I hope you enjoyed that. Sherry from down the block. Hope you're well. Jana. Kevin, my boot camper. Look forward to talking to you next week, my friend. Level up, Karen. Rachel Martino, John Paul Mingus, 370,000 feet over California on my way to Oregon. Can we give Mr. Paul a shout out for watching me on the plane? I love that. And Davita from Texas, how you doing, my boot camper? And Andy White, there you are. Now we're caught up. Dan, my boot camper, and Green Bay Packer fan. Courtney Jorgensen, thank you for the shout out on LinkedIn. That was very nice of you to mention me. I actually would have replied earlier, but I didn't see it come up in my notifications. It came up in my news feed. It was like a week ago. And so Courtney put this nice message out there on LinkedIn. I eventually found it. But if you ever need to tag me, then I'll see it in my notifications right away, because I always like to thank you for spreading the good cheer. And speaking of spreading the good cheer, make sure you subscribe to the station, to the channel. Share this with people. I'm going to leave it up. I know there's a lot of people that can use the help. Mr. Art, my boot camper, great to see you. And Mom, how you doing? Melissa Gaines, Jamie. Oh, and Hillary, we got a run of boot campers there. All right, hang on. I can get over to Savannah Lawrence. Hey, Andy, when highlighting metrics in an interview, is it appropriate to use my prior brand's terminology, or should I, oh, God, I love this is awesome. Okay, wait, let's read it up. Savannah, this is fantastic. Wonderful, wonderful question. Do you see how I get really excited when I get some newish questions? I love all your questions and I love helping you. That will never go away. Like I said, no patina on my responses or my energy. But I do get giddy. And you know who else gets really giddy when we get something new that we haven't answered before? Stacy Gilmore, who's my content manager, who's not here today because she took 2 weeks to celebrate her birthday, which is yesterday. So she's off doing something. And if she is in fact here, I'm probably going to yell at her if I see her in the chat. So, all right, Savannah Lawrence. Hey, Andy, when highlighting metrics in an interview, is it appropriate to use my prior brand's terminology, or should I use more neutral, universal terms? Thanks so much for all your advice. I have a couple things that you want to be mindful of here. It is important. The less thinking the interviewer has to do, and let's be really specific about what I mean. Our brains are designed not to think. Okay, that's true. That's true, right? We like path of least resistance. Why do you think you get so tired when you travel? Right? It's not because you got on a plane and you got you got a rental car. No, it's because you're driving on streets that you've never seen before. You go into the hotel room and you don't know where the light switch is. Imagine the energy you're expending. That's why you're tired. Okay, in an interview, we don't want them expending energy on anything that has to make them connect the dots. The more energy they expend on connecting the dots, meaning are you a good fit, the less likely that you have of them thinking so. So, I don't want to just tell you, use neutral terminology, because I think it's more than that. I think you need to understand why you always want to draw analogies where you need to. So I gave you that example. Here's how it would apply in your environment. Okay, why do I tell you to move the interview into the future? So some of you that follow me, that have watched my interviewing packages, you know that when you talk about your past and you're telling them how you did something, what does the interviewer have to do? The interviewer has to extrapolate if what you did in the past will fit what they do in the what you will need to do in the future. Most of them, they overestimate the level of complexity in their environment compared to the rest of the world. It's way harder here. Our customers are way high maintenance, as if every company is harder than the next, right? So now they're having to work harder. That's why I want you to shift it into the future and say, well, this is how I did it in the past. Do you have a situation where I could talk through how I would handle it in your environment? Less thinking for them, right? Easier to connect the dots. Okay, so now you're going to tell them about metrics. Now, metrics are metrics, so I'm not entirely sure what you mean about your prior brand's terminology. You might mean, hey, my prior brand, we collected this, these types of metrics which indicate this. You might have to define them. Or if you called it something, I would actually say, if it's on your resume and you spell it out longhand, if you're in an interview and you're talking about something and you say, well, we call this, XYZ. What that really is in general terms is this. And the reason you want to say that is because if you ever slip in the future in your responses where you call out an acronym or something that is defined well up here because you've been doing it for a long time, then at least you've neutralized it for them. Now, it would be better for you to remember to use the general terms. That is, without a doubt, the best. This is a big deal, people, because if I have to work harder and, right, I would love you if I understood what you were saying, but I can't understand what you're saying, and I'm busy and I don't have a lot of time to process all this as an interviewer, and I got deadlines for other stuff. It makes it hard. And you walk out thinking, I was a dead match for that job description. Why didn't it go well? Right? I didn't understand half of what you were saying. Right? Or you were making me work really hard and I decided I didn't want to work that hard. That's what people do. That's an awesome question, Savannah Lawrence. Can we give her a shout out? Because that was awesome. That's really, really important. And there's a bigger context there, because these are the communication gaps, the tripwires and things that we talk about in interview intervention. I hope you grab this free with a few bucks to chip in for shipping and handling. All right. Hey, can I take I got a little announcement. Tomorrow, I have a leadership coaching session, this slot tomorrow, 11 a.m. And I am getting together with people in my Leadership Monthly Live program to talk about, it's the same topic, but I look at it from two vantage points. When something major hits you, or even minor, okay, but like the pandemic hit us, so we're all dealing with this right now. Why is it that some people are able to consciously assess what's happening, immediately put great methods, practices, protocols in place, do certain things, and life moves on, and other people stress out, freak out, and so on? And so in the context of helping my leaders understand what it's like to not go through life unconsciously. And if you're laughing at that, most of us do. Automatic. Everything is automatic. We have never had an experience in this world that we were not at the absolute center of. And most people think the world should be a particular way. It's your beliefs, your assumptions. When you're in traffic and somebody cuts you off, they're in your way. They put your life in danger when maybe you were in their way, kind of thing. But we're not wired to do that unless we recognize how to think and what to think about. And so what I thought would be really fun is tomorrow we're going to get together as a group. I'm going to share what I did back in March and what I did and the thought process I went through and all the questions I asked myself and what that resulted in to what has been an amazingly prosperous 5-6 months for us. Me, personally, my family, and my team, and my company. And a lot of it was free stuff that we gave you guys. Right? But what was it that I went through? What was the mechanical process? And then we're going to share as a group. I'm going to pull you up on camera if you want. It means you got to get, put clothes on that, dress up clothes or whatever you want. But if you're interested in that and how to not go through life unconsciously and what I did during the pandemic and a bunch of other stuff, join me tomorrow. But you need to be enrolled in that program. And Kara can put the link in in the chat. It's really going to be a great time. If you got the email this morning about live office hours, that was the back half of the memo about tomorrow. So it's really, really a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right, let me see where we are. Sal, Andy, to make an intro of your contact to introduce someone else, just send your first connection and in-mail and give them the name. Did I just not answer that? Hold on. Sal, I think I literally just answered that. Maybe it was for Karen. Christina Weber on LinkedIn. Dan McGuire, hey. Yulia from Phoenix. And Rochelle, how are you? Steve Thompson, how you doing? Portland. Snazana, how you doing, my boot camper? I think you're my Instagrammer too, friend. And Linda, my love, is still here. Or maybe not. Maybe that was a while ago. Aaron the Weird, Paul, Bradley Stone, my Instagram friend. By the way, if you are not following me on Instagram, please do so. Kara, can you pop the Instagram link in? On YouTube, I do a live show every week, and I put a video out on Tuesday morning. On Instagram, I put 2 videos out a day. 2 a day. Most of them are clip outs from the live shows, and then I put my motivational quotes and some book quotes and other things, but it's really great fun. I love that platform. It's my favorite platform. And if you just kind of open up my feed, hit the grid, and you can see all the videos and the headlines and what they're about, and then you can kind of just zip through it and see what you want to watch. But I love that platform. It's really, it's really, really a great platform. Thank you. I like my blue shirt. I always get my things backwards on my show here, or it's like a reflection thing. Jamie, as a Mile Walk Academy, I need your usual. I'm glad you found me too. It's was it 10 o'clock? 10 o'clock? No, 8 o'clock. Ralph from Dubai, how you doing? Been watching the videos. Wonderful to have you. Wonderful to have you. It's interesting, when I coach people in Dubai, and we coach them in Asia and even in Europe, I do some really early morning coaching sessions because it's dinner time for them. But great stuff. Audrey Musgrave, when an interviewer asks, tell me about yourself or walk me through your resume, should I actually go through the chronological order of my work history or explain my values? Audrey, I have a video on both of them. Just check them out. LinkedIn user, career coach who supports alumni at a university. Just saw a notice show up when I was on LinkedIn. Great to have you. I don't know who that is. Keisha, Melissa Gaines. Andy, can you speak about the relevance and importance of personal marketing plans as part of network and info? So a couple things. Melissa, you gave me I was not going to mention this, but I'm going to mention this now. Folks, mark your calendar. If you are synced up to the Mile Walk Academy calendar of live events, then you know that on September 10th, I am giving you an hour-long teaching session on how to build your personal brand. And I'm going to teach you advanced marketing tactics that are going to help you boost your career. Okay, so it is going to be fantastic. We're going to do it on these platforms, and I will show you everything you need to know about your personal marketing plan, whether that is inside your company, outside your company, right? Whether you want to get promoted or whether you want to get recruited, what your social media brand needs to look like. Maybe you're interested in just establishing your cachet in the industry so that for your job, externally, you are more sought or acknowledged, or people pick the phone up when you call or email or respond when you email, and so on. So the importance of the personal marketing plans are there. I do believe, and let me be very light with this first answer. Your brand online. Okay, so let's just talk about that little aspect here. Is so important when you send a message to somebody asking them for something, wanting to get together, connecting just to network, what you might call informational or interview virtuals or whatever, right? It matters. If that person looks like somebody that would be great to have in my network, I'm going to be more apt to respond. And your packaging on wherever it is, everywhere, literally should be everywhere, because people will look everywhere. It should be consistent. If you're on Instagram and all there is pictures of you in your bikini, then make it private. Okay? So that kind of stuff. And it's okay if you want to use that for personal situation, that's great. It's for you and your family and friends. If I was job searching or I had a job where I was reaching out to people at different companies about things, I would look. I can't tell you how many emails I get from people who want to collaborate with me, do something with me, have me on their podcast. Who knows, right? Want to help me with some part of my business or whatever. First thing I do, I go to social media and I look and I see, is that a kind of person that I would want to associate with? Believe me, it happens. So, and I know there's more, by the way, there's more to your marketing plan and your personal brand than what I'm saying. I'm going to give you, literally, I'm going to talk for an hour. I know how long it is because we have the session done. Okay, so it's going to be great. I'm going to be here with you. I'm going to show you the inside of one of my programs. It's really, really good. So I would brush up on that. I would take a social media shower if I needed to. And the part about info, interview virtuals, and getting several requests, I would watch my, I hate this terminology, but the informational interview video, I have one on that, and I would check that out. And now you're just doing it via Zoom or whatever in many cases. But yes, it's important. Sergio Mixed Kitchen Leo, I was promoted to manager due to economic situation. I was never sworn in and remained interim for 3 years. How to address this in the CV? You could just say manager, or you can leave your title as it was, and then in your description of the title, Leo, if you're my Leo in the boot camp, you'll have this. If you're not my Leo in the boot camp, then you won't have this, but you'll at least have my free resume template. Underneath your title, there should be a description. In the description is where you can clarify, handled managerial, so on and so forth. Don't say was promoted to manager due to economic situation. I hope that you're just explaining that to me. So actually, I just put a video out on Instagram last night, because I loaded it up there myself about, employers don't want to see the backstories on resumes. They really do not. You should really check that out. Laura Cobb, I don't know what that is. Adrian Morrell, hey to you from Utah, my boot camper. Chris Reed. Chris, I got your story. It is in my queue to read. And by the way, all of my new boot campers, of which there are several hundred that just jumped in, I'm getting your stories. They're all flooding in my inbox each day. I have them. They are appropriately tagged. And if I have not sent you an email back, I have not read it in full. But when I read it in full so I understand, I put your stuff to memory, then I reply to you and I'll let you know, and you'll know I have read it. So Chris Reed, I think, I know I got yours because I remember there was something in there when I saw it, when I moved it into the folder for me to go through it. Sent my story on the 18th. Yes, that's true. I replied and it went to support. You do not. I got it. I got it. All right. Matt Glassburn, great to see you. My boot camper. Alan. Miss Nina. Miss Nina. Who doesn't drink wine? Great to see you. Hope all's going well. What time is it by you? 6:30 or whatever? Dorothy Wilcox. Prempton. How you doing? Christina Weber, I'm in your Career Accelerator program and loving it. Can I say this? Let's get a LinkedIner up here. Okay. You know, I went on about that thing tomorrow, the live coaching with my leadership group. So the reason so Christina, I want to thank you for mentioning this. One thing that I want you all to know, because I know a lot of you are job searching. Inside my leadership program, which is a monthly subscription or an annual subscription, I give you a 5-module Career Accelerator program. That's the bonus. So it's a $400 course. It is a bonus. And it has 5 modules. How to ace the first 90 days, so basically how to kick butt right away. How to start preparing for your promotion right away to try to get promoted within the first year, what you need to do. Then there is a session on my excellence planning. So how do I come up with ideas, generate ideas that actually move the needle? Doesn't matter what you do as a job. The steps that I take you through will automatically, de facto, by default, make you creative. So that's a session, and then I give you my organizational tactics, and then I also talk to you about how to prepare for and conduct your promotions or your reviews. I'm glad you shouted this out. I love it, and I'm glad you're enjoying it. I don't know if you enrolled in that, because you can buy the program by itself, or you can get it as a bonus in the leadership program. I don't know which one you're in. I thought you were in my leadership program. So, but if you are not, maybe that's something you wanna try. Muhammad is a boot camper that I know, and George is a boot camper. Great to have you. Mark G, More to Living. Kara's with me today. Stacy's enjoying her birthday. Metro Beth, my boot camper. How are you? Nishada, Sergio, aged 58. You're just a few years older than I am. Miss Marie from the other side of the pond. How you doing, my boot camper? Always nice to see you. Chris Reed, this is recorded for everyone. Although Chris Reed, you and I and the boot campers have a session on next Friday. So leadership group tomorrow, of which some boot campers are in, all my leaders, and then next Friday we have a private boot camper coaching session. If you guys, I know we're still getting emails. We ran a major promotion with a bunch of stuff, more bonuses, a discount on the package, and it ended last Friday. We ended that Friday, and then we had a session with the boot campers. On Friday, we did a teaching session. It was really a lot of fun. We've been getting a lot of questions for people who want to jump in the program. If you want to become a boot camper and be in my job search boot camp, please email us at support@milewalk.com, and we will give you a private link to enroll for the discounted price. But you got to send us a message, because if you go to the page, the price is $597. If you email us, I try to honor. I really do, because we want to help you. And Kara manages all of that, so she'll send you a link if you want to get the discount. Please, if you know. It's not the $100. It's I want you to get the job. All right. Let me see. Buzzing on by. Nina from Chicago. Greg, the Traveler, Golnoza, Canada. Got a lot of Canadians. Sue, my bat phone 99. Great to see you. Yes, you are in the leadership crew, and I'll see you tomorrow. Dean, what we got here? All right, I was let go today. Oh, buddy, I'm so sorry. I'm assuming that means now, like today. Is it better to ask the employer to say I was let go due to Corona rather than the web shop being shut down due to high operational costs? So you Dean, okay, so a couple of things here. Your explanation of the situation to a potential employer is you can own that. You can explain it to them how you would like to. If I was you and this happened, I would not be dealing with my employer and what they need to explain. They are not the ones that are going to be providing references on you. What I would say is the web shop shut down because we had high operating costs that were difficult to sustain. That's it. End of story. I would not say another word. If they start probing, say, I loved my job. I wish they would have had enough revenue to keep us. It's not your job to generate the money, right? So that's it. Again, I will say this over and over. I say it at least once every week. In situations like this, for anybody, you're returning to work after a layoff, you're returning to work after being sick for a short while, having surgery, taking care of mom, whatever. Don't over-explain anything. That's it. What I just gave you, I don't know how many words that was. It was less than 10. That's it. That's all I'd say. Why are you looking for work right now? My web shop shut down the high operating costs. Web shop shut down due to high operating costs. That's it. Right? That's it. No more need be said. You could say I really loved my job, but the web shop was closed up due to high operating costs or whatever. We were not profitable. That's it. You don't want to say anything else. No one needs to explain. I would be talking about, right? You said, hey, I liked it. It was great. I loved my job. Even if you didn't. Mohammed, how to deal with bosses who don't have clear background on their LinkedIn. Okay, so I know what you're asking me here. So Mohammed, how to deal with bosses who don't have a clear background on their LinkedIn profile. Should I say something vague in the boss hunting cover letter? So first thing, if you do not know what my boss hunting cover letter is and that technique, go to my channel and search for boss hunt. As a matter of fact, I kind of laugh. If you're ever wondering if I've said anything about any topic that you're looking for, just go to Google, type LaCivita boss hunt, LaCivita subject line, LaCivita whatever, salary negotiation, anything that you're looking for. LaCivita return to workforce, LaCivita, just it'll pop right up. Videos will pop right up. Okay, at the top of Google, and then for you, Mohammed, in this situation, if the profile isn't super detailed, then you want to reference stature in the company. You can reference the well-known companies they work for or the strong companies they work for. Pick something to anchor on. That's it. Or try to find more information. It doesn't just have to be LinkedIn. Could be other things. Google them, kind of thing. That's what I would do. Pick an anchor point. That's the message. Pick an anchor point. Feza CA? Hi, Andy. Do you know job seekers outside their country of destination who were successful in securing a job offer these days? So I think what you're asking is, during this weird time that we're in right now, are people successfully identifying organizations outside their country, getting the jobs, and then moving? What I will say is this. Historically, the people that are in my boot camp have switched countries successfully, okay? Now, these days, most people are concentrating inside their country. We have exceptions. So we have a number of boot campers that actually moved countries. They're inside the new country. So we have one woman, I doubt that she's here. She's probably in her new job, Tammy. And actually, well, her story is somewhere on the site. We need to move it over to the boot camp site. But it's on the frequently asked questions page or something. But she moved halfway around the planet, took a job in Canada, got a job in 12, joined the boot camp, then got a job in 12 weeks. No network, the family, the kids, and all that good stuff. Knew no one, was able to get a job. And we have a number of people like that. Now, I cannot say, nor would I recommend, that you are trying to search in different countries from a different country. Okay, so we've had people move within European countries. We've had people move from the US to Europe, Europe to the US, and those kinds of things. But it's very difficult at the moment to be searching for work to try to get something. Remote is okay. Remote in another country, very difficult. Would not recommend that you do that because it's going to be very difficult. You're going to have visa issues, you're going to have all kinds of problems right now. Very tough. I would not try this. I would try to, as much as possible, I would either move and relocate, go through whatever process you need to, visa-wise, and then search. That would be my recommendation today. Great question. Aaron the Weird. What should we focus on to not give up? I'm 5 months and losing steam. Okay, let me tell you why you generally lose steam. Aaron, everyone, why do we get unhappy? Why do we get unhappy? Generally speaking. We get frustrated because the world isn't the way we think it ought to be, right? We have expectations of certain things that the way we think they ought to be. We generally get unhappy. We also tend to get unhappy when we don't feel in control, okay? The reason we do that is because, I just want to make sure that I'm not, Kara, I'm assuming everything's okay. Hang on, I see. I'll make sure. Oh, there we go. All right, sorry, one of my streams went crazy. All right, wait, so let me go back. So Aaron, what should we focus on to not give up 5 months and losing steam? There's usually two big things that cause us to become unhappy and to get frustrated. One is we have expectations of the way things are supposed to be, and they're not. Whatever it is. I should have been invited to the party. I would have invited him. He didn't invite me, that kind of stuff. Or we don't feel in control of the situation. When we feel in control of the situation, and let's not even get into the fact that control is an illusion to begin with, but when you feel in control and you feel that you can influence the outcome, you tend to be happy, even if you have yet to achieve the outcome. We get very, very frustrated when we are not getting the results that we want, but the highest level of frustration occurs when we are focusing on the result and the outcome that isn't occurring. Specifically, what do I mean? Well, I'm sending the application in, but nobody is getting back to me. You don't control that. I sent them an email, they didn't respond to me. You don't control that. So what most people are doing, and Aaron, since I don't know you, I don't know, if this is the case, but I'm guessing it is you get fixated on the result and the outcome. What you need to focus on to get your happiness level up and to make you feel more in control, and then in turn get your happiness level up, is controlling what you can control. So the boot campers know I say this all the time. I only want you focusing on what you can control. I want you to be obsessed with what you can control. The people who are the most successful in life never think about the finish line. They think about and obsess about the starting line, right? I'm going to show up on this day prepared. I'm going to show up rested. I'm going to show up trained. I'm going to show up to the meditation room where the candles sit and the pillows in the right spot and the whatever at 4:30 in the morning. I'm obsessed about the start. If you focus on the start and you focus on what you can control, you'll be much happier and you will in turn get better results. So for you, you're a job seeker. What do you control? I can identify my path. So I have to have direction. I can control that. That's desk work, blueprinting. My career, my job, my targets. The companies I want to pursue. That's all me, all desk work. Identify the people that I want to contact. That's all desk work. I can control the message that I send them and actually writing it and sending it. Total control. I've not talked about one thing just yet that is not 100% in your control. Own all this. How many times should I send out messages every day until I get my job? You totally control that. That's your outflow, right? So what most people get bummed out is, well, I sent 3 messages, but no one got back to me today. So what, right? So what? Go on to the next day, and so on. So when you focus on the metrics that are in your control, that will be a better indication of the health of your search. What do most people do? I get these every day. I get a dozen messages every day that say the same thing. Andy, thank you so much for all your good stuff that you give me, right? I found you, I watched a video, and I downloaded this thing. And do you know how I get these, right? You download something, you get a welcome email from me. Everybody. Share your, tell me what your issue is. I read those, right? I can't respond to all of them, but I actually read them. Andy, thank you so much. I found you. I'm 57 years old. I live in Brazil. I'm so bummed out because I've applied to 800 jobs and I'm not getting any responses. It's applied to the applicant tracking system. I know what that issue is, right? We send them a message or something if we can, right? Because you're fixated on the outcome of which you have no control. Now, somebody gets back to you, you got a job interview. Okay, now what can you control? The starting line. You can come prepped. You can come with your outline in your head. You know that there's 3 types of questions in the formats they're going to ask you about 2 different things, your past or your future, right? You know all this. Now go in and let it roll, let it rip, and do the best you can on that day. So that's what I mean about focusing on what you can control. So if you want to talk about focusing to not give up, all I have to do to know how well somebody is job searching is if I sat down with you and I'd say, okay, show me your target company list. Show me the people you're contacting. Show me what you're sending them. And how many are you sent? How many have you sent? That's it. That's all I need to know. And I could almost to the dot tell you how many interviews you have by the statistics. So if you do what I just said and you're actually using high quality language, then every 5 to 10, let's call it 7, every 7 times you send something out, you should have an interview. That's just basic stats math from the boot campers and what they tell me. Some of them go 1 for 2, some of them go 5 for 5 in a week. But most of them, and it depends on level, it depends on consistency, they will get those interviews. The reason most of you are not having luck is actually, and I put this out, if you follow me on Instagram, you saw it, right? Lack of consistency kills faster than a lack of talent. If you follow my job search challenge and you send 3 messages out a day, each day, and you only did that Monday through Friday, that's 15 a week. That's 30 in 2 weeks. 30 in 2 weeks, right? That's 4 interviews. That's what should happen. Now, if it doesn't happen, then you go through your troubleshooting exercises, right? Am I targeting the right companies? Am I targeting the right people? Is my message quality? Does my resume align? Is it whatever? You go through the steps. But I'm telling you, focus on that. All of you will be a heck of a lot happier if you're actually job searching than if you're stuffing your resume in the applicant tracking system. Or, well, I only sent 2 messages out last week. Why is nobody getting back to me? Right? 3 in, 3 out every day. And I just want you to send them. You are better off sending a 7 out of 10, meaning a medium quality email, a 5 out of 10, and just send it, than not sending it. Like, it should be your goal in life every single day if you're unemployed to send at least 3. I would actually probably amp that up a little bit, but you should be able to send 15 a week out, no matter what. If you're in the boot camp, I already wrote the templates for you. So you have those. It's insert your name here, take that, put your thing there, and so on, and make it your own. If you're not in the boot camp, then you gotta either try to piece together some of the stuff from my free stuff, but I know that there's different variations of networking. So you're not always trying to boss hunt. You might be trying to get at a teammate inside a company. You might be going through somebody you know as a referral. You might be following up with somebody you met at an event. You need to know what to say to those people. You need to know the ingredients that need to go in it, and you need to know how to say it. So that's all in the program, but there's a lot of that kind of stuff. There is some free stuff too that you can use. Aaron, I focus on what I can control. Had a sale last week, right? Ended it on Friday, I just mentioned. What did I focus on? We had a 4-day resume workshop. That's all I cared about. Showing up, kicking butt, showing you guys how to write that resume, and then I put in there, right? I mean, we talked for a couple of minutes each day about my program. That was it. And then I introduced it to you. I sent you some good emails with some things that were inside the program, the features, the benefits, and then I let it go. Whatever happened, happened. And that was not in my control. but my performance was, and my engagement with you was, and the time I spent with you, and all that good stuff. Same thing for you. Same thing. You guys are all in the most uncomfortable marketing exercise of your life. The more you can focus on what you can do and what you can control, the happier you'll be, the better the results will be, the better the quality of your stuff. I hope that helped. I mean, I know that is a big deal for a lot of you. So I probably went on a little bit longer than I intended to, but I think y'all needed to hear that. Kara is telling me somebody is asking when the next job search boot camp begins. Right this minute, right now. The boot camp is available 365 days, 366 this year, and it's available at all times. It's immediately accessible. You buy it, you enroll, you get everything. And then what we do is you can go at your own pace. It's all there. I created a whole welcome package for you with videos to explain everything, how to go through it. You have every tool, every template, everything. Then you get 2 forms of support. Online support, you can ask me your questions. You can go ask me a whole bunch of questions today if you want. I answer them every day in the system. And then we also have online support. We have more than 24 live private bootcamp sessions a year. Sometimes we have 1 a month, sometimes 2. August has 2. Some months have 4. Okay, April had 4, May had a bunch. And the next live bootcamp private group coaching session is August 28th. So it's not as if it's like a whole boot camp start. The boot camp is always moving. Everybody encounters their own problem when they encounter it. So it's always accessible. But if you're asking when does like my next promotion happen, that's not going to be for a while. Okay, it's going to be like this for a while. We're focusing on some other things that will take us a while to build. So it's but you can get in right now. You can get in for the special price. Just email support@milewalk.com and say, hey, Andy was going on about getting a discount and I want to get in. And you can. We'll send you a private link. I always do that. I will always do that. So just whenever you're seeing this. So I hope that helps. Let me see, where are we at? I got a few more minutes here. All right, real quick. Next Thursday, 8 o'clock. So birthday cake, bagels, Bialys, cream, stuff I don't eat. But maybe I'll eat it that day. We've got Tuesday, a new video will come out. Next Thursday, we'll have a show. Tomorrow, leadership coaching. Next Friday, boot camp coaching. So I'll be with my boot campers next Friday. It's great stuff. And if you can't make it, we record that for you too, and it goes into your training portal. And the boot campers all got that resume workshop as part of that's included in their package. And September 10th is how to build your personal brand. That is going to be a smash. It's really a lot of fun. We don't have the sign up link yet. We're packaging that. We'll let you know. And I think that's about it for announcements. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so that when I go live, you get alerted. And if you're loving this, click the little thumbs up button. All right, let me see if I can squeeze a few more in here. Tyler, how are you? Nancy Kelly, my boot camper, how you doing? Courtney, I'm assuming everything was fine. Otherwise, Kara generally beeps at me when something isn't working. Shani, I think that's it. Yeah, I love the note cards because you know what? We do presentations a lot and stuff, but the note cards are just quick registrations for you. Davita, thank you for that. Thumbs up and subscribe, Best Coach Out. Thank you, my friend. You're just awesome. Mohammed is a younger professional. So that's another thing, too. Like, people think, well, is it only for senior meal? No, we have people in college, and we had 3 women week before last, all got jobs. One woman was 69, got in the program, 3 weeks later got her job. She's like, Andy, this is unbelievable. I never thought in a million years. I thought I was bracing for being out of work for a long time. And she got in, went through it right away, did what I told her, had a new job within 3 weeks. So it is ageless, timeless, genderless, professionless, transcends it all. Country, whatever country you're from, yeah, we'll tweak it if we need to. Mike Elliott, Love being able to watch the content you provide. Great. It is. The content is priceless. Thank you for that, my friend. So appreciate the boot campers. I really do. Garnett, Paul, 2/3 occupied, no middle seats. How you doing from Texas? My boot camper. Daniel Venditelli. You're welcome. JD. Gary. How you doing? Gary, as soon as I feel good about flying, which I don't really feel just yet, I'm coming out to visit you and all the OC people. We have another meetup. So I see my family. Sherry, what about the Big Blue Ocean interviews? This is your time to talk and ask me questions. That's not a Big Blue Ocean interview. That's just asking you, turning over questions. I think the interview went well, but couldn't tell if I hit the mark. Okay. Did ask the reservation. Said had none. That's awesome. Okay. So Sherry, I'm just going to speak to you here because you're a boot camper. Module 1 in the boot camp. We talk about, after we go through all the self-awareness stuff, right? You got your pitch, you got your headline, you got your why, you got your requirements. Then the requirements, the spreadsheet, the criteria question spreadsheet with the 80, however many rows with all the different components to it. From there, you categorize your questions. All right, so and then remember, you're ranking your criteria, you're associating the questions with the things that are important to you. When they turn it over to you, what you want to do is you want to say, okay, you want to organize your questions in the way that I've told you to organize them in groups or packages or however you want to do it based on who it is you're interviewing with and what you need to know. That's the intersection. Who am I interviewing with and what do I need to know and what information can I attain from them? And then you use that to go through it. And you want to go through it from top down, strategic, down to role, down to boss, or to the interviewer, depending on who you're interviewing with. It's not Big Blue Ocean stuff. That should be, you now own control. You use that spreadsheet that I gave you to do that. And if for those folks who are not in the job search boot camp, if you're trying to get an illustration of what I'm talking about, I have a free video out there. You don't get this spreadsheet I'm alluding to, but I show you this spreadsheet and what I mean. And it's how to choose the right job, how to choose the right job for you or for me, but it's how to choose the right job. And the one thing that I want to forewarn you about when you watch that video is when you turn it on, make sure your volume is low, because apparently I was screaming in the microphone because I was so dang happy because we did it in January. I think I might have been away from you for 2 weeks or something like that. I don't know. But I go into showing you how to do this. Now you'll at least get an illustration of what I was sharing with Sherry there. But you don't have the spreadsheet. That's not something I give away. It's something that's inside the boot camp. Has a lot more stuff than you can imagine, as you guys are probably gathering. So believe me, the level of depth and the level of instruction is so much deeper than what you're getting. So if you're loving the free stuff, imagine what's inside that program. But Sherry, that's the way I go. And that's the way I'd go about it. I would not consider it Big Blue Ocean. You need to take organization and put structure around the opportunity for you to ask questions. That sheet does it for you. And you can use some of the other tools that I gave you to identify the questions you want to ask. And Sherry, wait, one last thing, and this one more little plug for the bootcamp. That session we did on Friday when I said the promotion ended, the thing I taught the people in the job search bootcamp is how do you get at information that you want to know that is often A, difficult to ascertain, B, you also do not want to incriminate yourself. So things like work-life balance. Or is the environment collaborative, right? Are they deadline driven? Is it a meritocracy? What's the boss's management style like, right? Those are tricky things to get at. So last Friday, I don't know when you're watching this, but it's already packaged up. In the Job Search Bootcamp training is a package on the formulas that you use to get at the information you need. There's a disguise formula that I called it and an interrogation formula that I called it. And I taught the boot campers how to get at that stuff and sound awesome asking their questions. It's not like anything that's in the public. So that's another thing. And Sherry, I would lean on that too to supplement that stuff. That's great stuff. I appreciate that. And I hope you're enjoying the program. I know you've only been in a week or so. So I hope you enjoy it. All right, folks, I got to get running. Got a million things to do. I really enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed the show. We had half hour on the show, an hour and 20 on the Q&A. I'm back. You're going to get up. Right, I'm here tomorrow with my leaders if you're interested. And if you're not sure where the program is or how to find it, you just email us at support. I got a video for you on Tuesday, live show Thursday, new time just for that day, 8 a.m. Central. And then on Friday, I'm with my boot campers. So if you want to participate in any of the premium stuff this Friday, tomorrow or next Friday, let us know and we'll help you. And then on the September 10th, we have the personal branding event. All right, you guys be cool. I got to run. See you soon.